So we're not next. There's three or four. Well, they all belong. That one was like. I figured. Yeah, I know. People start talking about. Yeah. Well, this is what I want. Well, I have some words that I want to say.
Yeah, of course.
And do I say that there?
Yes, you can come to the mic.
That's what I would do.
Yeah, I'll make the recommendation.
And then I don't even know. Just say this is a sample of batches by now. Anybody wants to look at it?
Yeah, they asked to.
And then, here's the other stuff that I would have to paint. That's Cardi board and that's Cedar Way one. Yeah, so.
Okay. And would they have what the garage would look like? Yeah, with the elevation. Okay. Oh, okay. No, I just help.
Yeah. Plus she worked. They helped me here, so like old home.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't get it. And the guard when we left in, he's like.
Okay. That's Mr. Blake.
Yes, they did. Well, all we can do is sit.
Yes. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Look forward to my glass of wine.
Read them.
That's a really good. I did look up how old my built my house, and I've been up for forever. I was the same year my father. So it's old. So, and small, and X. So, we've been here for a while. It's crazy. So, yeah.
Here, and we have forum, and then we look at a motion, the minutes from our November 6th, 2025 meeting. So moved by Commissioner Ponce. Do we have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Rubin. Commissioner Blakely
Yes.
is a yes, and I'm a yes, and motion carries unanimously, and the minutes will be posted on the commission's website. No. There are 5 projects on today's agenda. Staff of the commission will present the project on the agenda and state their recommendation. Following the staff presentation, the committee will have the opportunity to ask questions of the staff. The applicant may then make a statement. Following the applicant's statements, members of the public may make their statements. I'd like to ask anyone other than the applicant wishing to make a statement on the item on today's agenda to complete a public comment card and give the card to a member of the staff. Comment cards are available at the door. As a courtesy to other individuals wishing to offer comments, we ask that members of the general public please limit your statements to 3 minutes or less. When the time comes for public comment on the item on the agenda, I will call the names on the cards and ask you to make your statement. Please state your name, interest, organization, and company you represent, if any. Our first project is 325 North LaSalle in the Reed Marek and Company building. It is the requested addition of swing doors within 6 existing window openings on the south elevation and proposed widening of the existing upper river walk. And I'd like to call on Tyler Taylor for the presentation.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Chairman. This first item concerns the Reed Murdoch and Company building. It is one of the most prominent buildings on the Chicago River, located on the north bank of the river between LaSalle and Clark. The building was designed by George C. Nimmons and constructed in 1914 as a warehouse for Reed Murdoch and Company, a food distributor that had been operating in Chicago since 1865. Its architecture expresses equal parts Chicago school and prairie elements, notably rejecting classical and historic revival influences. The primary mass is 7 stories above street level with another 2 stories below. A central clock tower with a pyramidal roof rises 3 stories above the main building. The building was sold to the Monarch Food Company and continued to be used as a warehouse until 1955, when it was purchased by the city of Chicago and converted to offices for city departments. It was later sold to Friedman Properties, its current owners, and in 1999 underwent significant renovations. Today, the upper floors serve as offices, and 2 of the street-level tenant spaces at the south along the Riverwalk are occupied by restaurants. A proposal has been received for work to the south elevation, identified within the dashed area, which includes widening the upper level of the Riverwalk and the addition of doors into some of the window bays. In the existing plan, the connections between the east and west restaurant spaces and the Riverwalk are through the central lobby or from doors on LaSalle and Clark. The existing upper walkway provides 5 foot 6 inches in clear width. To make the upper walkway more usable and provide a better connection from within the building, the applicants propose to widen the walkway, highlighted in orange, and add 6 new double doors within the existing window bays highlighted in green. 3 doors are proposed for each side, with the remaining 2 bays unchanged, highlighted in blue. Each of the subject bays contains a single masonry opening with 4 gang double-hung windows and 4 transom windows above, as shown in the left photo. The windows have been replaced, but they match the original design and profiles as shown in historic photos. The typical modification for each bay would replace the center 2 windows with double doors swinging outward. The proposed doors match the width of the existing windows, and the height of the doors would also match the height from the walkway to the underside of the horizontal mullion. This will allow the remaining windows on either side of the doors, the transom windows above, and all of the remaining mullions to be maintained. The addition of the doors will require demolition of a section of the brick, concrete, sill, and base identified by the white dashed line in the photo at left. In the photo rendering at right, the brick removed is shown to be salvaged and reinstalled to create a finished return at the new opening. On the historic facade, the existing horizontal mortar joints are raked while the vertical joints are flush to create shadow lines that emphasize the horizontal courses. This is a masonry detail common in prairie architecture. Rather than replicating this joint pattern, staff recommend that all of the mortar joints within the proposed masonry openings, identified by the red dots, should be flush to differentiate the altered portion of the masonry from the historic construction. The entire upper walkway was reconstructed in 1999 to match the original walkway as seen in the historic photo at top right. The condition of the walkway has deteriorated and it is in need of reconstruction again. The new walkway is proposed to be extended south by up to 5 feet for a total of 11 feet measured to the guardrail. While the historic configuration of the upper walk would be altered, all of the decorative features, including the piers, lampposts, and guards, would be reconstructed. The existing walkway and proposed extension is shown here in section. The proposal is also currently under review by the Bureau of Zoning, as it may require a change to the plan development, and the maximum dimension for the extension may be less than the 11 feet requested. This photo, taken from across the river to the south, shows the existing overall elevation. And this photo rendering shows the same view with the altered window bays and the upper walkway extended. While the historic configuration of the upper walk would be altered, staff believes the visual relationship between these features and the building's overall facade will not be significantly altered. Staff recommends approval with these conditions. First, at the Riverwalk, the existing piers, lampposts, and guardrails shall be salvaged and reinstalled to the greatest extent feasible. Any of these components that must be replaced shall match the existing, and details shall be provided with the permit application. 2, brick removed to create the new opening shall be salvaged to the great extent feasible and reinstalled to create finished returns within the new door openings. The mortar joints within the door openings shall have flush joints only to distinguish the openings from the historic construction. 3, section and elevation details of the proposed doors and details showing how the new door frames will be installed within the existing horizontal and vertical mullions shall be provided with the permit application. 4, as proposed, the reconstructed Riverwalk may project up to 11 foot 6 inches from the face of the building to the edge of the slab. Section details of the new upper Riverwalk showing the proposed structure, construction, and attachment to the building shall be provided with the permit application. And finally, 5, the project as proposed, as mentioned, requires review by the Bureau of Zoning to ensure it complies with the requirements of the plan development. The committee takes no position on this review. Alderman Riley has reviewed the proposal and has no objection. And I believe we have representatives for both the architect and ownership here also available to answer your questions.
Great. Thank you, Tyler. Commissioners, any questions? Tyler, before we hear from the applicant? Seeing none, let's hear from the applicant, project architect. Warren Strobel. Did I mess that up?
No. Good afternoon, Commissioners. Warren Strobel, Executive Vice President of Operations at Friedman Properties. Friedman Properties, our company slogan is preserving the past while building the future. And as Tyler mentioned, we acquired this building in the early 2000s and painstakingly restored every detail that we could from its past life that had deteriorated. Now with the opportunity of having to reconstruct this upper walkway, we found an opportune time to one, to widen it, and 2, to introduce more connectivity for the tenants. The walkway is part of a public access agreement, so we keep it open to the public, so it will benefit the public with the additional width. And then it'll be a huge benefit for the businesses that occupy that space right now. The connectivity has been a challenge for them for a long time, just being able to come out and service that area. So we appreciate your consideration of the request. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. For Commissioners, any questions?
No.
All right. Thank you. I had a question. Definitely the building is extremely well preserved. Like this building, you walk by, it's a beautiful building.
Thank you.
And curious about, you're reusing the masonry that you're taking out. There's the lintel or there's the sill. Are you going to save additional masonry, or will there be additional? Like, is there a way to save some of the stuff that you're not going to use for the returns?
Yeah, I mean, our goal, we have a whole warehouse of
You
items
have
that we
plenty
preserve.
Good.
But yeah, I mean, our goal would be obviously to salvage as much as possible and reuse it in the reconstruction.
Okay, great. I don't have any other comments, so thank you so much. And oh, yes, we're moving to public comment now.
I'm still being educated here.
We have to.
So that's why I say, well, you don't know enough about this, Mr. Blakemore, to speak on. And so I said, I wanted to speak on those items.
Mr. Blakemore, okay, go ahead.
Okay, so well, the point, you brought in something, you said public access. How would, maybe I'm speaking Ebonics, how would that design be inviting to the public to let them know that they can use this walkway? The way that building is built, a lot of time y'all constantly design buildings and walkways that the citizens don't know that they're public and that they can be used by the public. You must be able to educate and inform the public. So now it's going, how would I know if I pass that I'm welcome to just walk down there along that river walkway? But I know the tenants and the people that live in the building, they would know you must make these buildings walkways, whatever, open to the public. Because this permit comes from the public. So a lot of times you intentionally design this walkways and things that the public feels they don't know about it. When you're educated and you're informed, you will be able to use it. But the average citizen, I'm gonna just sum it up. What are you doing to make it friendly that the persons who pass by, that they can use this as a walkway along the river? Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Blakemore.
Maybe I won't get a house, but I can always ask for it. Thank you.
We'll come back to it. And we'll finish public comment first. So the next person that signed up to speak is Mr. Ward Miller.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Ward Miller, the Richard H. Treehouse Executive Director of Preservation Chicago. We are very much in support of these changes here. Friedman Properties has invested a great deal of money in this, these structures, in this one structure, excuse me, over the course of the last 25 years, since it was a city office building. And we realize that the changes that are being made here are reversible if it was ever desired to restore them. And just want to further stress that, all the elements with the expanded walkway, the lanterns, or if you will, lamp posts, and the railings be, salvaged and reused wherever possible, and where it's not possible, to recreate them as they did for the newly extended walkway. And then just one more thing that's really important. It shows the power of landmarks here. These landmarks are working landmarks. It's great to see them revisioned, to see them celebrated, to see people sitting outside, enjoying a sunny afternoon, not on a day like today, but really to acknowledge that these are great, great buildings and they're part of the city's built environment, and to have people enjoy them and make them the hardest working landmarks and buildings we have in our city is really a wonderful thing to celebrate. So we want to commend Friedman Properties, the commission, and all of you at the PRC to move forward and accept this. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Miller. That's the end of the public comment period. Any final discussion, questions? Just to maybe talk about this is a completely public way, right? And by widening it, it's going to encourage more use.
Correct. And there is signage posted both on the east and west end, and it is widely used by the public.
Great. Thank you so much. I don't have any other comments. Seeing none, with no further discussion, I'd like to request a motion to adopt the staff recommendation. So moved by Commissioner Rubin. We have a second?
Second.
That's a tough one. Seconded by Commissioner Ponce. Commissioner Blakely is a yes, and I'm a yes. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much, and good luck with the project.
Thank you, Tyler. Thank you so much.
Okay, our next project is 300 North State. It's Marina City. Proposed replacement of the original balcony dividers, and I'd like to call on Joyce Ramos for the presentation.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So we're just moving right next door to Marina City. And Marina City was designed by architect Bertrand Goldberg and constructed between 1960 and 1967. The complex was designated a Chicago landmark in 2016, and the significant features listed here on this slide include all exterior elevations, including roof lines of Marina City's buildings, including the exterior of the concourse level and marina, visible from the public rights-of-way and the Chicago River. The Marina City Condominium Association reached out to historic preservation staff to review a proposal to replace the existing balcony dividers due to significant deterioration. And just as a background, the Condo Association reached out to historic preservation staff in 2016 to discuss the review process for building standards so that future work undertaken by unit owners could be approved by staff. The proposed work includes alterations and replacement of balcony doors, glazing replacement, balcony floor coverings, painting, and balcony dividers. The common exterior remodeling requirements and the building standards for exterior alterations shown on left were reviewed and conditionally approved by the Permit Review Committee. In addition to these requirements, the committee decision in 2016 included that any new balcony dividers shall match the original balcony divider in height, shape, color, and finish with drawings submitted as part of the permit application. The purpose of the divider panels is to provide a separation between two units that share the same balcony. The divider panels are in place on 4 of the 16 balconies present on each residential floor, which are floors 21 to 60, with a total of 160 wall divider panels on each tower. As part of the submission, the applicant submitted a memorandum prepared by WJE on their behalf, which includes a background on the existing divider wall panels, a condition assessment, an elevation of the divider wall panel that they noticed from the original drawings, and their recommendation for replacement. According to the memorandum, the existing divider wall panels are original to the building and have been in place for over 60 years. The original divider panels shown in the drawing at center consist of steel tube frames with 2 support posts and V-shaped louver blades running in the vertical direction. The divider panel posts are typically deteriorated and exhibit significant corrosion at their base, as shown on the photo at left. In addition, the existing paint coating on the frames and louvers is typically in poor condition. The configuration of the louver blades makes it difficult to maintain or properly prepare and repaint the divider panels. Due to the significant deterioration of the original dividers, WJE recommended that the divider wall panels be replaced. The proposed new divider wall panel, shown at right, will be constructed from aluminum tube frames, 2 support posts at each end of the panel, and a flat infill panel. A flat infill panel was selected as the most cost-effective option for the condominium association, and this panel configuration will also simplify future maintenance. The existing divider panels are 8 feet wide by 6 feet tall. The top of the panel is 1 foot 6 1.25 inches below the ceiling, and the bottom of the panel is 8 inches above the balcony floor, making the panels align with the balcony doors. 1-inch steel tube vertical support posts are set in 2 feet 1.5 inches from each end and are infilled with V-shaped louver blade panels. The original vertical supports are slender, and the ends of the divider panels extend past these vertical supports. The new divider wall panels are proposed to be 7 feet 2 inches wide by 5 feet 4 inches tall. The top of the panel is 2 feet 1 inches below the ceiling, and the bottom of the panel is 6.75 inches above the balcony floor. 3-inch aluminum tube vertical support posts are located at each end of the panel, and instead of louvered panels, the panels are proposed to have a flat, smooth surface. Based on commission standards and criteria, replacement of a feature should match the original in appearance. Per the Marina City building standards, any new divider should match the original balcony divider in height, shape, color, and finish with drawings submitted as part of the permit application. Staff recommend that the new panels match the historic in height, shape, and color and finish. Additionally, the mounting height and vertical support locations should remain in the same locations per the original design. The photo at left was taken by staff from Wacker and State Streets and shows that the divider panels are visible from the pedestrian perspective. The applicant submitted the zoomed-in photo at right that shows a mock-up of one proposed new panel. While seemingly minor, these changes may impact the distinctive shape and rhythmic pattern of the curved concrete balconies, which are the focal points and most iconic elements of the complex. Small changes on buildings of this style with the clean lines and minimal aesthetic would be noticeable. That said, the proposed new dividers are different in size, mounting height, and surface pattern with vertical supports on each end instead of being set in. The original design may have incorporated louvers to lessen the effects of wind loads and surface damage such as oil canning and dents. And the angled louvers also affect the appearance and intensity of light reflectance and shadow patterns on the panels. Therefore, staff recommend incorporated a louver design that closely matches the original design. And if wind loads are not a concern, staff recommend using a panel that is ribbed to more closely match the surface panel of the original panel. In conclusion, the original balcony divider panels are approved to be replaced. Consistent with the 2016 Permit Review Committee conditional approval, new balcony divider panels should match the historic in height, shape, and color and finish. The mounting height and vertical support posts should remain in the same locations as the original design, and the balcony divider should incorporate a louver design that closely matches the original design. Again, and if window patterns are not a concern, the infill panel should be ribbed to more closely match the surface pattern of the original panels. The Alderman's office has reviewed this proposal and has no objections to the plans, and that concludes my presentation. The Marina City Condo Association is also here and would like to give their own presentation. So please let us know if there are any questions.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joyce. Commissioners, any questions for Joyce before we hear the presentation from the association? Seeing none, let's hear from the association.
Sorry, I'm just trying to figure out how to put this in presentation mode. Oh, here we go, I think. Full screen mode. We'll try that. Okay, do you want me to advance it for you or you
Yes,
could do
please.
it? Okay, just let me know.
Okay. First of all, thank you for allowing us to present our side of things. I'm sure this is a very long day for you. I'll try and make this as quick as I can. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah.
My name is Jerry Groutman. I am the president of the board of directors of the Marina Towers Condo Association. Just to make it a little bit more clear, we own from the 20th floor up, the residential portion of the building. The bottom, the parking, everything on the bottom, and the office building is a separate owner. So we're just the residential portion. I'm originally from Minnesota. When I first got to Chicago, I thought, what a cool building. That's an amazing place. What must it be like to live there? And, now I've been there for over 20 years. And, everyone else on the board, we have a lot of architects. I think we probably have the highest percentage of architects in any building in the city. Everyone who lives there cares very much about the look of the building and how unique it is. And it's very important to us to preserve it. And, we want to leave it in better condition than we found it. We care a lot about the building. My goal is to answer your questions about the project. And then importantly, I am hoping that you will consider approving our application or our permit as submitted rather than with the recommendations respectfully from staff. Reason being is those are very expensive changes. So go ahead. It was kind of made clear in the previous presentation why we're doing this work. Marina City is 60 years old. The original dividers and the balcony railings are all painted steel, and steel rusts. It gets old, it's aging, it's not in good condition. The railings are a little bit better, but they will eventually have to be replaced as well. And that is a considerably more expensive project. That will be the largest project that Marina City has ever done. It's going to be incredibly expensive. We are setting aside money for that. But we really do want to, it's important to us, everything we do, we want to preserve money for that because it's going to be hard for our residents to afford. Next one. I went back and looked, and it was presented as well earlier. What is it that we owe? What is in the landmarks designation, and what do we need to preserve? Or the next one. I think the key part of it is the exterior elevation that's visible from the public right of way and from the river. So it's not what you see when you're on the balcony or in the apartment or even from the building next door. It's from the public right of way, which is a little bit further away. Go ahead. And I thought it was also important to really look at what Goldberg's original intent was. I am kind of unofficially the keeper of drawings on the board. I have basically tried to find all of the drawings that we have or that we could get our hands on and scan them and keep a digital copy just so we have them preserved. And, we can reference them whenever we need it. And I kind of dug into this when we started all of this. And I looked at the original elevations of the building and the dividers. Go to the next one. The dividers aren't shown. They're not depicted on any of the original elevations of the building. And what that says to me is that when the architect was designing the building, when Goldberg was putting this together, it just wasn't that important. The dividers aren't a key element of the design because they're just not shown. You go to the next one. This is kind of a zoomed in of that same elevation. There's all kinds of details on there. There's the individual window sizes. He's even got, the air conditioners above the doors shown, but again, no dividers. If you go to the next one. This is another elevation further back in the set just to, make sure it wasn't a fluke because they didn't have time on that drawing or whatever might be the case, but it's the same story. There are details and all kinds of stuff on the drawing, but again, no dividers. I also kind of look back that the dividers are actually shown in the original drawing. They're just not shown on the elevations. In some of the detail sheets later in the set, this is the original divider that was shown. It was actually intended to be glass panels that were flat with supports in the middle and on the end. So this is, I think kind of closer to what we are actually proposing. The dividers that actually ended up on the building were shown as an alternate. And I'm assuming because it was cheaper. I don't know. That's just an assumption. But in addition to that, the dividers that are on the building don't exactly match the alternate drawings that were there. They're a little bit different, but similar. So it's, not only I think were they not a key element, but we're also, one of the designs in the original architectural set, we're pretty close to that, I think. Go ahead. Now, why did we choose the current design with the flat panel and the supports on the ends? It's a balance between design integrity and affordability. Obviously, we have to be able to pay for all of this. And in the landmarks designation in the text, it denotes Marina City as middle income housing. And, it was part of the intent when the building was first built. It's not intended to be, a place only for high-end living. It's for regular people. And we want to try and keep it that way. Obviously there have been building code changes. We can't make an exact copy for some other technical reasons. And the height of the panel is based on what the manufacturer was able to provide. There's some limitations of why we chose what we did. And we wanted to make it as close as we could without spending an enormous amount of money. Now, why do we think the changes that we made are acceptable? The first balcony that has a divider, or the first balcony, I guess, is on the 21st floor. It's pretty high up. And then in addition to that, if you look at the balconies from the street, you're looking at the bottom of them. So you have to get kind of a ways away from the building to be actually able to see where the dividers are. So you have to get kind of far away. And I'm an engineer. I kind of like the math of these sorts of things. So I looked it up and I did the math. There's like a limit to what the human eye can actually see based on the number of photons that will go through the iris in your eye and the size of the eye. And the size of the louvers are kind of right at the limit of that. It's impossible to see on the higher floors, no matter how good you are, even if it's 20/20. If you have 20/20 vision, you can, physically see the louvers on the 20th floor, but it's not easy. It's kind of right at that edge. It's really difficult to see. And I think also once all of the new dividers are in and all the posts are aligned, I think it's unlikely that anyone will notice a difference between, exactly how many inches they are from the end or versus, the side of the panel or inside, a little bit. This is that same photo. I took that photo of the mock-up. We built one of the new dividers, and I think, it's not obvious which one is different, but you can see it. But I think the reason you can see it is because it's a darker color, because it's got brand new black paint on it. All of the old dividers have 60-year-old paint. We've never painted them, and it's all chalky and coming off. And, it's very clear which one, as you can see, it's different, but it's the color. It's not that it's a different shape or it's a different texture. It's the color. And I think two important pieces. Number one, this was taken with a really big telephoto lens. This is not something you can just see easily with the naked eye. And also, if you look at that photo based on the angle, there is not a single divider on the building that you can see without looking through the balusters and the railings. So when you look at the divider, you're seeing it through all these little striations that are in the balcony railing. You can't see the divider by itself. You have to look through the striations of the balcony railing. So I don't think it's, even if you could see from the street, I don't think it's possible to discern whether it's louvered or not, just based on what you're looking through and how far away it is. So what are we asking for? We are asking for an approval of the design, basically as we submitted, because we're trying to balance that affordability and make sure that we have enough money preserved for the railing work that is coming. And it's our hope that you'll consider that this, I think, wasn't part of the original design, not a key piece of it. And that once these are replaced, I don't think anyone's going to notice. I think it's going to look the same. And I hope that you'll understand and feel that way too. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Commissioners, any questions?
it seems that the concern is the cost here, like what is the cost difference between doing what you're proposing and doing the original? And two, is there an in between or alternative that you looked at?
We did. We looked at this, and making an exact copy of what's there now, while I'm sure it's possible, is not affordable. It's not something we could really do. And then in addition to that, they're very difficult to maintain in the current form. So our initial thought, and this was about 5 years ago now, was that we would make something, very close as the suggestion was, with a louvered panel. That's not louvered, I'm sorry, a ribbed panel. So it kind of has those vertical striations that you can see from the exterior. So it looks similar, even though it's not exactly the same. And when we got prices for that, we were kind of surprised. It was about $300,000 different for the total of the project for a rib panel versus a flat panel. That was 5 years ago. I'm sure it's more now. We did not study the difference between where the posts were located. The design that we got from Wisgenny had the posts at the end. We thought that was okay because we didn't think it was a significant difference. The original post design that they submitted was actually 3 posts, and we rejected that because we wanted to make sure it was 2 like what we had now. But we didn't get into the details of how much the cost would be different between the one that's inset a little bit versus the one at the end. I am confident it would be more, but I don't have an actual number for you.
Commissioner Blakely.
Following up on that, you had mentioned that you're not sure what the cost difference would be to inset the post slightly. In looking at the images, I think there is a slight refined elegance to the current appearance of the original panels with the inset posts, and the panels appearing to float more as opposed to being attached on the ends, similar to the cantilevering balconies that the whole Marina City Towers present. So there is a slight detailed, refined elegance with that. However, you did show images of original design intent having glass panels, so perhaps there were other studies done. I am curious to explore an option with them possibly inset if cost would allow for that.
Okay.
Or if there's possibly also scale wise, like proportionally, because they vary in thickness, to seeing if that would also suffice. So
I can't answer one of those. They are a slightly different dimension because the materials are different. We are using aluminum this time around because it lasts. The steel didn't last. And because it's aluminum, they have to be just a little bit bigger. So that's the reason for the difference in size. We have not studied what it would cost to inset. The current design has the kind of the outer post is integral to the panel itself, whereas the old design was a panel mounted on 2 posts that are independent. So it's a little bit different configuration in that way, but I'm sure it's something we could study. I did, in advance of this meeting, ask the engineer that. They said it was possible, but they didn't have enough time to give us a price.
sure. Thank you.
Yeah, that'd be the one thing I was trying to think of how to articulate it. If anything kind of carries over and more of the character of the time it was built, it really kind of feels more like it's the inset of the posts against the square divider. I'm more if I'm kind of picking between details, that one jumps out at me a little bit more than the louvered design does. And I think what you bring up about the paint color is kind of key in looking at the picture of it. If you go back to its original appearance, it kind of does disappear, just kind of like the glass in the original proposals does, where if 50 years on, it sticks out, but that's only because of deterioration. So yeah, I'd be curious to see that explored and see if that changes the costs significantly, or if that kind of finds a middle ground that would be more affordable.
Yeah, I think also one thing to be mindful of is that we can't base our decision on cost. We have to think about the criteria. So it's just something to think about it seems like there needs to be more study everyone's saying the same, that we need to see more study in terms of the placement of the post. We understand the material definitely needs to change. And I think most of us might agree with that. Like aluminum makes sense, but not only where the posts are, but it seems like we're just seeing one, flat plate and there hasn't been any more consideration to the texture. And it seems like, I don't know if that's a manufacturer, like you're buying something off the shelf and that's why, or if there's if it's custom, it seems to me that there's more to be examined there, that there might be more options if it's custom. And it sounds like it is custom.
It is, yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, just one last thing. Thank you for your presentation. I appreciate all of the background information and just noting that the original drawings did not have that divider. So you wonder, obviously living there, then that ask for a privacy screen, right? Once you're there. And just wanted to say, living in this awesome building comes with a sense of responsibility, and the association has to take care of it. But yes, thank you for bringing that up. Cost is not what we are here to talk about, but what is the historical significance and details.
Oh, thank you, Commissioner Ponce. Any other final points before we?
No, I mean, I guess I'm just kind of thinking with a mid-century building like this and, the intention, like patina is not really a thing when you're dealing with 1960s, 1970s buildings. And the intention is that you're supposed to be able to sub out materials to make something look new over time. I don't know if, in terms of the character defining features of Marina City Towers, certainly the balconies are one, with the balusters on there, and certainly the forms of the concrete. But I do want to kind of think about if the dividing panels are they called out in the original nomination for this? Are they called out as a character defining feature, or is it something that's just sort of falls in between?
They're not. As I understand it, it was I don't have it in front of me, but I think it was the exterior elevation as seen from the public way.
Okay.
So it's elevation, not, and I think that was described. There was a further description of that further in the text. That's something about the curve of the balconies, but the dividers are never mentioned.
I know with some of the lower rise buildings that we look at, there's studies done of views from the street from several different vantage points. Is it, do you do the same process when it's a high rise like this, or?
Yeah. So when I looked at the building myself, I had walked around the building. I only go to where I had taken that photo was at the viewpoint of State and I don't know if you could see my cursor, State and Wacker. So over here, and I had walked around the entire block. So not just standing directly underneath the building or in front of the building. I had taken into account views from several vantage points around the complex.
Okay.
Yeah, and in viewing those, I mean, for me, I mean, I could see the divider panels and I could see the offset of the vertical supports and how they kind of cantilever over those supports. I mean, those details, I mean, I know I'm an architect, but I mean, I could notice those.
With the naked eye.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Oh, the view.
So yeah, this is the image on left is the one that I took from State and Wacker. At this angle, you can see the panels and the vertical supports. And just how they're not, at the ends. I mean, you could see they almost look like they're floating because of the dimensions and the proportions.
Yeah, I think in the end, what I'd be curious to see is what you said, that it's a study of what the vertical supports would be if those remained in the place where they were. And see what that, I think in terms of the character of the screen, that's what reads to me as the most important.
I mean, the louver details maybe, itself, the striations on there may not be perceptible, but you can see from like the reflection and like the shadows. I mean, the mock-up looks like a solid black panel, whereas the existing historic panels, you could see this line, and it may be because of how the angles on the louver picks up the sunlight.
Yeah, okay.
Well,
So, I mean, I do agree. I don't, the panels were not meant to stand out. I don't think that was the design intent. They weren't meant to be seen I think from the drawings, they may have been removed a lot, unlike architectural drawings where we remove things for clarity. But you know, they weren't meant to stand out. And I think the original design shows that they're not. I mean, they clearly align with the doors on the balcony windows. And they kind of almost disappear. Whereas we make like these slight changes, seemingly, you know, minor changes, I think in a building of this style would be very noticeable.
Okay.
And there are, you know, even though there's original drawings, there's also an original drawing of what was built, you know, so
Right. I mean, I'm not sure the detail. I haven't seen the original drawings myself. But you do say that that was in the original drawings, and I don't know what was behind the mindset of the architect and why the design had changed. But what we do know is what is built today. And then there are historic photographs that do document the panels that are existing right now.
Yeah, the original drawings, I did some more searching. There were three total versions of the dividers. There was the primary, or the one that was shown as the, you know, intended, and then there were two alternates, and what ended up on was similar to one of the alternates.
very good. Commissioners, any other questions? Or go to public comment and
Go to public comment.
okay, thank you. We're going to move to public comment. And we have Mr. Blakemore. You're not going to speak on this item? Okay. All right, Mr. Blake, we can't hear you.
I was just wondering, what was this,
Still can't
Where?
hear you. We still can't hear you, sir.
I was asking the gentleman from Marina Tower, what was this square? Is it gonna look like that when you look up, or will it blend in with these other balconies? Maybe I'm not articulate enough, and I'm not communicating with you. I was trying to see. This was obvious that picture that he was showing, that these other, it wasn't like these other balconies. I don't know if I'm speaking.
It's still
Ebonics.
difficult to hear you, sir. Just talk a little closer.
You understand what I'm trying to say, sir? When he was showing me the balcony, he just had that square up there. And what was that all about? It wasn't blending in with these other with these other, it just wasn't blending in. Are you all understanding what I'm
Yes,
trying
absolutely,
to say?
yep. Yes,
You do?
yes,
Okay, thank you.
thank you. Mr. Miller?
Good afternoon, Commissioners. For the record, Ward Miller, Richard H. Treehouse Executive Director of the nonprofit group Preservation Chicago. Thank you for debating this. These are really iconic Chicago buildings. You see them in the skyline, you see them on the riverfront. I see tourists all the time, you know, gazing at them and engaging with them and wanting to find out more about those buildings. And it was really one of the first North Loop developments that was on a large scale that brought housing, affordable housing actually, to downtown Chicago. And that's really amazing. And it's kind of also ironic that we're talking about this today as the landmark designation of Marina City came through kind of as a reaction to the demolition of Prentice Hospital, both by Bertrand Goldberg. But Marina City, we understand, is really an iconic building that's so greatly appreciated by so many in the city. Not really commenting on the texture of the screens, but realizing that maybe insetting that footing will keep the repairs to less, to a minimum, if you will. The stays will like fall into perhaps the original locations. So you won't have the patching of the concrete as an idea. So maybe insetting those, you know, top and bottom connections as they connect into the concrete structure is really something to consider as a compromise, as an idea. This is a complicated issue, highly visible buildings, really remarkable buildings. So we wanted to offer that. And then Lastly, we do have various incentives. Sometimes they apply to landmark buildings usually, but we also have, for instance, adopt the landmark incentives. I know that this is a condominium building. It creates some issues here, but if there's some flexibility, or especially with the bigger projects, when we look at the building and its residents and owners and stakeholders replacing those balcony rails, that's going to be a huge expense. And if there's any way that the city and the department could figure a way to work with the owners and stakeholders to help with the lift of those kinds of costs. Those are huge costs, and we understand they just repainted the building. There's a lot of maintenance costs that go into these remarkable buildings, which is really a larger complex and was once so much a part of the near north side. It was a real focal point when River North was still mostly factories and SRO hotels that many of us remember. So any type of help that the city could contribute to these bigger projects, I think would really be welcomed by two buildings that are so stellar and so much a part of our landscape. So wanted to offer those ideas, and we might need to get really creative about it, but I think if you continue to work with the owners and the stakeholders, I think we could really come to some great resolutions here that wouldn't be so costly. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Miller. No one else has signed up to speak on this item, so that moves us to final discussion. Commissioners?
I did want to mention that Marina City was awarded Adopt a Landmark funds in 2016 in the amount of about $1.1 million. We do welcome them to apply again for future funding rounds. So you're welcome to do that.
Excellent. Thank you, Joyce. Any other final points? If there are none, I'm going to request a motion to adopt the staff recommendation to basically to proceed with to try to match the what's constructed now. Commissioner Rubin has made a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Blakely and Commissioner Ponce. Commissioner Ponce is a yes as well, and I'm a yes. So the motion carries unanimously. And we encourage you to try to talk with Joyce and try to figure out how we can help, support, future repairs. Because these are, if you think about the top 10 buildings of iconic Chicago, these are the buildings there. This is it. And we have to be very careful about our decision here. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. We're moving to our third item, which is 2101 West Evergreen in the Wicker Park District. It is the proposed alterations to convert a first floor commercial space and basement into a dwelling unit. And hi, Tyler. Tyler has the presentation.
Thank you. The subject property is a mixed-use corner building located at the southwest corner of North Hoyne and West Evergreen in the Wicker Park District. The building was built in 1890 per permit records and is 3 stories in height with a commercial space at the corner and residential units above. Both the east and north street facing elevations feature a base composed of dark brown brick and limestone bands with a lighter buff brick above. Additional bands of limestone and white soldier coarse brick add ornament and define each story. A permit application has been received to convert the street level commercial space and the basement within the dashed lines at the north half of the building into a new dwelling unit. Most of the existing floor structure within the first floor commercial space, highlighted blue in the plan, is proposed to be demolished, with a new floor structure built 3 feet 7 inches above the original one to provide a ceiling height high enough for proposed basement windows to be above grade. While the proposed new floor structure is shown on the proposed plan drawings, the extent of demolition of the existing floor is not shown on the demolition plan. When resubmitted, the demolition plan should be revised to show the area of demolition of the existing floor structure. Within the basement, 4 new windows in new openings are proposed at the east and 2 more on the north. On the first floor, infill of some of the masonry openings is proposed and creation of new openings, as well as relocation of the entrance door from the corner of the storefront to the east elevation. The two new basement windows on the north elevation are proposed within the non-historic brick bulkhead beneath the storefront. The existing door is proposed to be infilled with a masonry bulkhead and glazed storefront system to match the rest of the existing storefront. Staff recommend that even if it will no longer be used, the existing door should remain in place rather than be infilled. On the first floor, the existing door and window openings are proposed to be partially infilled for the creation of new windows for the dwelling unit. For the basement, 4 new masonry openings, each measuring 3 feet wide by 2 feet in height, are proposed to be created to provide light and ventilation for the basement. To simplify the infill of the doorway, staff recommends the basement window, second from south, should be shifted north to be within the outline of the original door opening as highlighted in yellow, since this will not conflict with the basement floor plan. The infill masonry within the rest of the window and door opening should not be too thin to the surrounding masonry. All of the brick infill is proposed to use brick salvaged from the areas where the masonry will be removed. Because it can be difficult to salvage brick, samples of new brick matching the historic brown and buff brick in size, profile, color, and texture should be provided with the revised permit drawings in case it's needed. Staff recommend that with these conditions, as discussed in the presentation and stated again here, the proposed work will not have an adverse effect on the landmark building or district and recommend approval. Alderman Laspada has reviewed the proposal and has no objection. The Wicker Park Committee has reviewed the project and does object. A letter of objection was received after packets were distributed, but is available at your places. The architect and maybe the expediter are here and able to answer your questions.
Okay, thank you, Tyler. Commissioners, any questions for Tyler before we hear from the applicant? Seeing none, let's hear from the applicant. Do we have our project architect?
Yeah, I'm the project architect. Sorry, Andrew Wong is out of the country, so he couldn't attend today. I'm here to answer any questions. We are trying to convert the existing commercial space into residential. We're trying to keep as much as we can to make it work. The front glass, we're trying to remain on the north. And we're open to recommendations from the commission and the staff, and we're here to try to move the project forward.
Okay, any questions? Seeing none,
Yeah.
I think we have one person that signed up to speak on this item, and we'll move to public comment. Commissioner, Mr. Blakemore.
Thank you, sir. I'm fascinated by government. I'm getting old and I'm sleeping and everything. I used to wonder why the old people sleep in meetings. So you got to get there anyway. What I'm seeing that's happening here with this particular Wicker Park, sometimes you're not able to money. So a lot of this is a historical building, but it has a commercial site on that first floor, and the owner of the building want to make money. Sometimes you can just make things simple. Want to make money. He's not concerned about the historical, the interior. A lot of times they do that at the exterior with these historical buildings. They gut them out on the interior. So what he's doing now, he needs money. He want to make money. So sometimes, you know, when you're poor, you need to stay in your place if you can't afford certain things. So you're going to blend in the old bricks with the new bricks and all of that because you're trying to make money. Now, one thing I was very fascinated with this building up on Schiller and Dearborn, 1347 by the Racket Club, Treehouse building. He went, everything was original. He even went back to Europe to get the craftsmen because he wasn't motivated by money. So sometimes with these historical buildings and your investment, you say, I want to make this a dwelling, a basement. I want to make this an apartment. Sometimes y'all too poor, being poor black or poor white. Seems like Treehouse went and had everything original. So this is a historical building in Wicker Park. It's a commercial. So you want money. So a lot of this thing y'all can sit up here and try to be sophisticated and all of that. But the basic line is the golden rule. He who has the gold rule. You can't afford this, sir. So what you decide to do is whatever to make some more money. That's why it's very important for me to come to these meetings, because I learn. I listen. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Blakemore. No one else has time to speak on this item, so I'd like to close public comment and move to final discussion from our commissioners. Seeing none, I'd like to request a motion to adopt the staff recommendation for the project. So moved by Commissioner Ponce. Do we have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Rubin. Commissioner Blakely is a yes. I'm a yes, and the motion carries unanimously. Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, our next project is 3112 and 3114 South Prairie in the Calumet Giles Prairie District. It is the proposed new construction of two-story single-family residences and detached two-car garages on adjacent vacant lots. And Joyce Ramos has the presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Calumet Giles Prairie District, generally located on Calumet, Giles, and Prairie Avenues between 31st and 35th Streets, was a designated Chicago landmark district in 1988. The applicant is proposing to construct two new raised two-story single-family residences with detached two-car garages on adjacent vacant lots on Prairie Avenue. The historic buildings in the district exhibit a range of architectural styles that are characterized residential construction during the late 19th and early 20th centuries, as well as distinctive architectural detailing and craftsmanship. Narrow building proportions and 2 to 4 story building heights with the predominant use of masonry are consistent historic characteristics of the district. Over the years, deterioration of individual buildings has resulted in demolition of historic structures, leaving large sections of vacant lots. And the two vacant lots shown at the top image at the right are the sites of the two new homes. So for 3112 South Prairie, the lot size is 25 feet wide by 135 feet deep. The proposed front yard setback is 20 feet, which is consistent with the other buildings on the block. The building is approximately 19 feet wide by 55 feet long and has a raised first floor entry with a stoop height of approximately 5 feet 6 inches above grade and an overall building height of 29 feet 7 inches. The front facade is proposed to be clad in a red modular-sized brick and features a slight projecting bay topped with a flat parapet roof and a limestone cornice. The facade features single and gang double-hung windows with limestone lintels and sills, and the base is clad with limestone units. The brick returns 26 feet on the south elevation, and the remainder of this elevation will be clad in fiber cement siding to match the color of the brick. And since the north elevation will be visible due to the alley located just to the north, the entire elevation is proposed to be clad in brick. The stairs are cast concrete with metal railings and newel posts. And a two-car frame garage with a hip roof will be constructed at the rear of the lot with alley access. It will be clad in fiber cement siding to match the house. For 3114 South Prairie, the lot size is 25 feet wide and 135 feet deep. The proposed front yard setback is 20 feet, and again, which is consistent with the other buildings on the block. The building is approximately 19 feet wide by 55 feet long and has a raised first floor entry with a stoop height of approximately 5 foot 6 inches above grade. The front facade features a slightly projected rectangular bay with a step parapet, stone copings, and horizontal stone banding with an overall building height of 32 feet 4 inches. And staff recommend to eliminate the two stone bands at the second floor and the top step of the parapet to be more proportional with the front facade. The front facade is proposed to be clad in brown modular sized brick and features a slight projecting bay with gang double hung windows with limestone lintels and sills and limestone accent belt courses. The brick returns 26 feet on the side elevations with the remainder clad in fiber cement siding to match the color of the brick. The stairs are cast concrete with metal railings and newel posts. And also a 2-car frame garage with a hip roof will be constructed at the rear of the lot with alley access and will also be clad in fiber cement siding to match the house. The proposed stoop heights and overall heights for both buildings are within the historic range of the heights found within the district. The proposed brick on the front facades are also characteristic of the district, and for both buildings, staff recommend that samples of the proposed brick, mortar, and fiber cement siding be submitted for review. And the fiber cement siding should also have a smooth finish and 4-inch lap exposure in a color that closely matches the color of the brick installed on the front facade and returns. Finally, staff recommend that the new windows be wood or clad wood and that scaled and dimensioned window details be submitted with the permit drawings for review. In response to the conditions of approval, the applicant revised the design of 3114 South Prairie after the packet went out and removed the 2 stone bands in the top step of the parapet that you can see in the enlarged elevations at right. And staff recommends to revise the conditions to eliminate this condition. The first one for 3114 South Prairie. The alderman is aware of the project. GAPCO has reviewed the project and provided feedback that the applicant responded to during their design process. The Near South Planning Board reviewed this latest revision and submitted a letter of support after the packet went out, and this letter was distributed at your places just before the meeting for your consideration. That concludes my presentation. The owner is also here. Please let us know if you have any questions. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Joyce. Commissioners, any questions for Joyce? Seeing none, let's hear from the applicant, owner, project representative.
Hello, I don't have too much to say. I just want to thank you that you're reviewing that our project, and I really appreciate your help. And I hope we can close it and beginning that building that nice project.
Excellent. Thank you for being here. And any questions for the owner? Seeing none. Let's move to public comment. We have Mr. Blakemore sign up to speak.
Yes. You know, poor whites and poor blacks. This is all about the money that's in Pat Down Ward, that historical area over there. So what you're doing now, when you, I've seen it many times, they don't blend in with these older buildings. They do not blend in. You can easily identify the new buildings by the bricks and the way they're built. They don't blend in. So it's all about the money. And maybe some of you all shouldn't want to move in these historical areas because you can't pay to play. You don't have the money. You can go all the way back and find these original bricks that will blend in, but you don't have the money. You don't want to pay, but you want to live in that area. And when you pass by, you can quickly recognize that those buildings do not belong there by the bricks and the architects. So it ends up with the money. Then there's a vacant lot. I knew exactly what's happening. She wants to build there, but she can go and get bricks. This is a big world out here. And they got other places that they've tore down some of these systems that you can get identical bricks like that. But you don't have them, you don't want to pay that money. It's all end up with the money. And that's why I'm using this treehouse as an example. There was a rich man. And he could go and get all the materials and made everything identical because he could pay. But these poor people are trying to be slick and Pat Down Ward. Where is she? When do they have meetings about that? When? So again, that's why it's very important. Sometimes they want to silence me. You know, it's pay to play. It's pay to play. And when I go by and see, I say those two buildings are new. Because you can see they don't blend in with these other buildings. Because the material is not alike. So that's common sense. It's not common anymore. Some of y'all want to have a historical, but you don't have the money. Now, this based on my time too.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Blakemore. We have one more person signed up to speak on this item. Bonnie Sanchez Carlson.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Hello, my name is Bonnie Sanchez Carlson, and I am the president of the Near South Planning Board. Our organization committee recently reviewed this proposal of these two-story single-family homes. We are pleased with the proposal, and the design we feel is within character of the historic district. We're pleased also that the GAP Community Organization has also weighed in and provided their recommendations that we've been assured has been incorporated into this project. So the committee is pleased to offer the support of this plan pending full board approval, with the exception that the applicant update the south and east elevations to accurately depict the chimney. It was off the south and east elevations. And so this support is further contingent upon the developer meeting any criteria recommended by the GAP and landmarks, which we accept as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This concludes our public comment portion, and I'd like to move back to our commissioners for discussion. No final discussion. Maybe is there a new condition for maybe
Updating
the updated elevation?
yeah, accurately show the
Accurately show the
chimneys on
chimney?
that side.
Okay. And with that, there's is there a motion to adopt a slightly modified recommendation? So moved, Commissioner Ponce. Seconded by Commissioner Rubin. And Commissioner Blake is a yes, and I'm a yes, and motion carries unanimously. So thank you. Good luck. Okay, our final project for today, 625 West Walter Burley Griffin in the Walter Burley Griffin Place District. Proposed new detached two-car frame garage clad with vinyl siding located in the side yard. And Joyce has this presentation.
Thank you again, Mr. Chairman, and thank you all for hanging in there. This is the last one today. The subject property is a two-story frame residence located mid-block on Walter Burley Griffin Place. The applicant has applied for a permit for a new detached two-car frame garage clad in vinyl siding located in the side yard. The lot is approximately 75 feet wide by 135 feet long. There's an existing curb cut and asphalt driveway on the west side of the lot. The applicant is proposing to extend the driveway with concrete by 8 feet and a 3-foot apron to connect the new 18-foot wide by 26-foot long two-car frame garage. The proposed location of the garage is appropriate, as a 1936 Sanborn fire insurance map shows a garage that was historically constructed in this approximate location. The new garage is proposed to be constructed on the vacation side of the yard in pink, which you can see here on the plan. And then also you can see where the historic garage is on that Sanborn map at the top left. The roof is proposed to have asphalt shingles, and the elevations are proposed to be clad in vinyl siding in a sandstone beige color. The street facing facade will have a 16-foot wide by 7-foot tall flat sectional door. And staff recommend that instead of the proposed flat sectional garage door, that sections incorporate recessed or raised panels to more closely resemble a traditional garage door. Staff took the front elevation of this drawing of the garage and placed it in this photo to see it in context. And as proposed, the new garage would be visible looking directly in front of the property and also from the side yard. Due to its visibility from the public right of way, the garage is being evaluated for compatibility with the character of the property and district. And the proposed vinyl siding has not been accepted as an appropriate cladding material and is not compatible in historic districts as the profile and thickness do not closely match that of a historic wood siding. Staff recommend that the garage be clad with materials compatible with the historic materials in the district, such as wood clapboard siding. Since the garage is new construction and set back behind the principal structure, but still visible from the public rights of way, staff would also be able to approve fiber cement lap siding with a 4-inch lap exposure and a smooth finish. Fiber cement planks have similar appearance to wood siding with a substantial profile that overlaps the planks below to conceal that nailing line, creating a deeper shadow line than vinyl siding. So, alternatively, if the owner does not want to do wood or fiber cement siding, we would also still, alternatively, if the owner does not want to do wood or fiber cement siding and would still like to pursue the use of vinyl siding, staff would recommend relocating the garage to be behind the main house so it is minimally visible from the public way. The aldermen and community groups are aware of the proposal, but have not received any comments. The owner is here and would like to make a statement, so please let us know if there are any questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Joyce. Commissioners, any questions? Seeing none, let's hear from the property owner, Ellen McLaughlin.
I'm here to request that you approve the original application without the recommendation of the staff. I've resided in my home at 1625 West 104th Place, which is what it was when I moved in. When I moved in, there wasn't a historic district. There were historic homes, but mine wasn't one of them. Then when they named the street Walter Burley Griffin Place, the status changed. I have waited over 40 years to get a garage. I put 4 kids through Catholic school and have never had the funding to build a garage, which I desperately wanted. We hired Better Built Garages and they gave us a quote of $27,500. The quote was for a vinyl sided garage, which would match my house. When the permit was submitted to the city, it apparently dinged landmarks and then everything changed. Though a whole bunch of my neighbors have gotten garages and have never had a problem. Zoning rules made us push the garage back, which meant we would have to pay $3,000 more for concrete. We could push the garage back. I'm sorry. We could deal with that, but then they said we couldn't use vinyl siding. That had to be hardy board. Well, that was also more than $3,000 more. Money I don't have. Also, there's no hardy board that matches my home. So then we would have to paint it, which kind of defeats the purpose, and which is something we don't really want to do. According to the permit application, what is visible from the street must be in compliance. But then they said we had to use hardy board for the sides of the garage, which are not visible from the street. Very confusing to me. The part of the garage that is visible from the street is only the front, which is almost entirely the garage door, which will have the raised panels as Landmarks has requested. I do not want to put my garage behind my house because I will no longer have a yard. I am appealing to you to allow me to build my garage with the material I've brought in for you to see today, which matches my house perfectly. And I just want to say, my home is not architecturally significant, and certainly my garage will not be. So this is I don't know if you want to see it. This is what was proposed by my builder, which is exactly matches my house. This hardy board, they cannot find hardy board to match my house. It would be this, and I would have to paint it, and then the other thing, and this is like at least $4,000 more. Cedar is like $6,000-$7,000 more. I don't have it. So this was something I thought was going to be a very easy project for my husband and I. Were going to build a garage, and it's just turned into this whole thing. So that's where we're at right now. Thank you very much for your attention.
No, thank you. Thank you for coming in and speaking on it. Commissioners, any questions? I think just this,
Well,
go ahead.
yeah, just
Commissioner
one
Ponce.
question. I'm just curious on precedent in the area. Uh,
For garages?
yeah, for garages.
There are several garages in the district. There are garages, I did look up permit history for this. There are garages that predate the district. There have been garages that were built without a permit. There was one garage that did go to permit review committee, I think in 2018. And that one was conditionally approved to be relocated to be completely behind the main house. So it would be minimally visible from the public way.
Thank you. Just trying to understand, we've come across these.
My block is literally, people don't paint their garages I mean, it looks like a mess. My block looks terrible because of the conditions that are put on us that we can't afford. You know, I mean, I understand where you're coming from, but I also think that sometimes it's cutting off your nose to spite your face. If you walk down my block, which Joyce did, and there's so many houses that look terrible because people can't afford it. You know, like Mr. Blakemore said, it gets to be literally too expensive to do anything. So then people don't do anything. And then what do you have? My property values go down. My property values are going down as we speak because of the guy across the street is so angry. He won't deal with you guys anymore because all he wants to do is side his house, but he can't find a material that will be approved by you guys. So the house has been like, scraped down and not painted. And that's a few houses. So that's where we're at, you know?
I also wanted to add that to date, vinyl siding has not been approved on visible accessory buildings, mainly because the dimensions and the profiles don't match that of like a actual wood siding. It also lacks like the natural aesthetics of like an actual wood plank. And also vinyl siding can't really replicate the design and profile and dimensions of like wood trim and molding.
I have a question. Like on a rear elevation, I know we've never approved it on a new construction. We never approved vinyl on a new construction. That's the precedent we're trying to avoid. But like on the rear of a building, you cannot see from the street.
That we
Can you do it? And so then maybe there's maybe you
Yeah.
already thought about this. Maybe there's something we could think about where we approve just a little bit of the cement board, where on your you have very little on the front because you have a huge door.
That would be
And
dandy.
then maybe a little bit on the sides, but we could talk about that. And then the rest, that might be a solution. I don't know what the commissioners think.
Just go
But
to
it's part of the back and, you're not really going to see the rear elevation of the garage and then part of the sides are so far back that maybe the commissioners could talk about that.
I'm looking at the site plan. The side elevation would be visible just due to the side yard. The immediately adjacent lot also doesn't have anything built like up to the property line or, right next to the house. So you can't see the side elevation.
Yeah, definitely not what is that direction? Definitely not the inside lot.
Yeah, so like the west elevation,
West.
that elevation also would be visible.
Okay.
From the street or from the adjacent property?
From the street. I don't have that view, but I mean, if I'm walking down the street because
it's not a 6-foot
the main
fence.
house is like off to the side of
There
their
are
lot,
different
yeah.
fences.
Is it a 6-foot fence?
Yep, on both sides. That's the front of my neighbors, then it rises, they just had a fire, so.
Okay. Any other final questions? Yeah. Go ahead.
So commissioners, one thing here for you to consider is, do you apply the same standards to new construction of main buildings as you, and the accessory buildings that are towards the rear of the lot? Do you, and so the one thing that would be the result of any change to that is that it would be a precedent for others that we would need to generally apply, but that's something that you would need to weigh in or decide on.
Should we go to public comment and then come back?
Yeah.
Final discussion? All right. We'll go to public comment. Mr. Blakeborn is assigned to speak.
Thank you very much, sir. I asked the young lady, I said, who's the O'Shea? And
Sir,
it's Beverly.
You can't hear you. Yeah.
That's Beverly. So I didn't know they had, I'm thinking of Beverly as those mansions out there. And O'Shea's the alt one. However, I see it's another part of his ward. And when the lady said when she moved there, it was not historical. It was not historical. And so it's the tales of two cities. I say, and the lady said, I'm kind of quiet. When you say O'Shea, he got a rich area of mansions. And I didn't know that he has two demographics out there. And so when she moved there, it was not a historical. So he's maneuvering that and putting other people in harm's way. So I get so much education when I come to these meetings. It's so much you can learn. So I understand it now. I'm thinking, O'Shea has extremely mansions, and then he has these frame homes. So now he's making these frame homes historical too, and bringing a burden on the people that live in them, with telling how the corrosion, violence, and all of that. Everything is political in Chicago. That's what makes it so corrupt. I want to know, how did they, who maneuvered this whole thing, making these frame houses historical also? And now these people have to pay additional money, and they're not able to do it. So that's Beverly O'Shea, the little short white man. Got two tales of two cities. Now where is he? And who authorized? When did they do all of that maneuvering? Made everything in the ward historical. So again, that's why I come to these meetings. Everybody else is gone. I get an education, a free education in civics, in government, by listening. Say I can't even read or write. I can listen. And I'm learning, and I don't like this. And so, Miss, I hope that you all will be able to resolve this, that this landowner will be, can't pay additional monies. Not money. Thank you. And I had to O'Shea.
Okay. Thank you. No one else is signed to speak, so we'll conclude public comment and we'll move to final discussion for our commissioners on this item.
I was just curious if other materials were explored other than siding, like such as stucco or possibly
It would
panel.
look terrible with my house. I mean, the thing that matches is this. I want, my house is aluminum sided. I bought my house before this district was historical. So I have an aluminum sided house which has served us well for many years because I didn't have to pay 20 grand to paint my house like my neighbor across the street. I wouldn't have bought a house that was framed that needed to be painted, nor would I want to put up a garage that I have to paint because I'm old and I'm retired. I don't have the funds to do this. As my whole block is old now. No one is leaving because of the current economic situation. So we're all there. We want to keep up our houses, but when stuff like this happens, it's very frustrating. Like this is nickel and diming, I know, to you guys because it's like $3,000. It's a lot of money to me. You know what I mean? I'm honest. It truly is. And, you know, I mean, I don't want to do something that doesn't match my house because when I go to sell it, someone's going to go, why does it look like this? And why do I have to paint it when I don't have to paint the house? So none of it really makes sense to me, you guys. I mean, it just doesn't. You know,
Well-
I understand the whole historical thing, but my house isn't historical and neither will my garage be. My block didn't used to be. And then someone decided, let's just do this, you know? So, you know, I had no input on that. I would have appreciated it, but I didn't, you know?
Thank you. Well, part of the reason I asked is because of the fact that this is a landmark district, is that typically anytime you add on to a significant area, then you differentiate anything new, especially an accessory structure. So I was just asking if that was an option. It doesn't necessarily have to match. Matching it would almost, you know, trick it into believing it was there when it wasn't. So there is a beauty to newer structures being differentiated from what has been there for a long time. But it was just a question to see if you explored other alternative options.
Not really, like I said, because I really, you know, I understand, I guess, where you're coming from, but that's not where I am coming from. You know what I mean? I would like it to look uniform, which most of the people in my block, it matches. It looks the same. You know what I mean? So, you know, and then, like I said, tons of people have done stuff. They've snuck by you, apparently, you know, where I'm just like, why did I get dinged? You know, I kind of feel that way a little bit because other people have, you know, and I mean, I've kept up my property. I try, like we've really tried, and it's been hard because it's expensive.
Okay. This is a very challenging item. I'd like to see if there's a way to compromise on at least, I mean, it seems to me two elevations. But it's kind of hodgepodge. That's the only issue, but, right? What's that?
The two elevations that are visible.
Yeah, the two elevations that are not visible.
Right, it's mainly the front elevation and the west elevation that are visible from the public way. Mostly the front elevation is garage, so it's a garage door. I
there,
mean, I'm
yeah.
sorry, yeah. So minimal material there.
I'd be happy to put hardy board on the front.
You can't see the parts on the other side, then I mean, it's.
But the question for me is then, I mean, the side that's on the fence
Mhm.
And
and
the side that, I guess that's facing the house and the rear, I mean, I guess it could be anything.
Economical
It
material.
wouldn't necessarily have to be fiber cement or wood.
Is there a scenario where, if the question is matching it, where painting, you'd paint the front, you'd paint one side, but the colors of the other ones wouldn't necessarily need to be painted? I don't know. I'm trying to think of, I know we're not trying to think of it in terms of budget here, but
I do think there's more colors in hardy board.
No, we were told that the concrete people, I mean, our, what do you call it? The firm that's doing it, you know, that we got the contract with, they couldn't find anything, you know, that was, and quite frankly,
Yeah, I know that.
no, I don't want hardy board. I don't want to paint.
Right.
I would not have bought my house if I had to paint it. I wouldn't, because I know how expensive it is to paint. And my neighborhood wasn't historical then, which I wish people would understand that, because I wasn't asked. So I feel completely put upon in this whole process, because it's like, you're a historic district, great. And all it's done is made people not fix their houses, which I don't know if people
Please,
understand.
please go ahead. Yeah.
I just want to make sure that we understand that when the district designation happens, there's an actual process that takes a year.
Mhm.
It isn't done without notifications to property owners.
Notified, and everybody was, because the Australians came, because Walter Burley Griffin was a student. This was all driven by, like, we want East Beverly to be more attractive to
Right,
move
and
into.
part
But
of
not-
that, and part of
I'm
that
telling you,
process is also requesting consent from the property owners. We obviously
get-
have,
I did
right,
not
we
get
obviously have people who do not consent and people who do consent, but I just want to make sure that, the process does include notifications, request for any position, request for consent, a public hearing, and a final decision before something is designated. And and after the designation through city council, there's also a step where the designation is recorded against the property so that there is information available for someone after that happens, if they're purchasing a house, that they can understand that that ordinance is on that property. There is in some way, there is this notification that you could do some more due diligence to understand what that means.
Okay, here's the thing. When people move into our neighborhood, realtors do not tell, like I said, my house, I would not have bought my house if it was like, so right there. Why would I ever would I ever know I was going to put up a garage 40 years later and I couldn't just have it be the same as my house? No. But the big problem, and I've talked to our alderman about that. Actually, I'm moving this forward on a lot of levels just because we feel very disenfranchised on my block right now. I've polled my block, 3/4 of the block is not a fan of it. I'm just letting you know. But at any rate, the whole thing with the realtors, they don't tell people that, they tell you nothing. And I brought that up to our alderman and to the Beverly Area Planning Association, which I worked for 6 years. And said that there's no transparency at all. They don't tell you. If you buy this house, you can't, that's what has my neighbor, who's a cop and his wife's a cop, infuriated, because no one told them they couldn't side their house. So there needs to be, maybe you guys need to get involved in transparency with realtors. And of course, my alderman's like, good luck with that. But I'm just saying, nobody knows when they buy these homes what it entails. They just say it's historic. Oh, that's exciting. But we don't know what the limitations that we have on us because of that. So do you see what I'm saying? Like, realtors don't tell us. No one said boo to me. Well, of course, that was before, but I know, like, my neighbor next door, he's an attorney for the city, and he's like, no one said a word. They put half of it up, and then the city took it all down. So, we're feeling very disenfranchised, and I'm sort of like the sacrificial lamb with this, kind of, because we want to draw attention to it. We kind of do.
Okay. Is there any other points? I think there could be a revised motion for this that would be a compromise, but at least with the front, and maybe if the more I guess the most safe one would be also to do the property line elevation, and then allow for the other two elevations to be whatever material, vinyl.
I'm okay with that.
The west elevation is visible. The ones that could be clad in something other than wood or fiber cement siding would be the east.
East.
So here, that's the one that's facing the yard, and then the rear, the south, that faces the rear yard, the fence.
And then the cement, the fiber cement lap on the north and the west sides is what you're saying?
Right.
So there's very little on the north, because it's the door, and it would be the
Not
side
much,
that's most visible from the street, the west. And that way, from a precedent, we're only saying, we're really limiting it to visible elevations.
Okay with it.
If other
Yeah.
materials don't want to be explored.
So it's a compromise, and I don't know if I'm allowed to make a motion in that. Does anyone else want to make that motion? And
Sure, I'll make the motion. I'll make a motion to amend and look at alternatives on the north and west elevation on the visible sides of the garage for alternative that meets the criteria. And keep the others as is, with approval of staff of the material and color.
What is that? I'm not sure what that means.
So on the visible sides,
Which is only the front.
the front and
You
the
really can't
side on
see
the
the
fence
side.
side.
the fence line.
So that side, that whole side
Yes.
would have to be like hardy board or something?
Yeah, an alternative. That's
And then
in-
the other side, well, then that would. Yeah.
So it's basically one made side, right? Because the front is the garage door,
Which,
predominantly the garage door.
yeah, which would, like, if I could just do the front with the little bit on the sides, because you can't see the sides. You cannot see the sides. The guy next to me's garage would be on the side of my garage. That's true.
I think that we could do some, I mean, it's debatable and it needs another picture, I think, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So, I mean, could we do something that's approval at the staff level for that? If we see more pictures and that's proven that it's not visible, but if it is, then it becomes cement board.
So you would like to confirm that the neighbor's garage will actually block this garage because the site plan, we don't have a site plan that actually shows that. So that's what we need to confirm. And if the west elevation is not visible due to the neighbor's garage, then we are only concerned with the front elevation.
The visible elevation is correct.
Okay, so that would need to be well, we can confirm that on site. We need to understand the setback of the neighbor's garage.
Don't even bother, because I don't want to have one side of my garage, one material, and one side of my house. And I mean, the front is understandable, but to have the sides, and then the back faces my shed. Because there's a rear, we're not talking about the back of.
No, we're not talking about the back, and we're not talking about the side that faces your yard. We're just talking about the west elevation.
But I mean, it's gonna look kind of weird, isn't it? You're gonna have one material, like, this is where my complete, aggravation is that I feel like everything we do with this thing that I've talked to Joyce has been wonderful, by the way, is just cutting off my nose despite my face. I mean, truly, you guys, it's like ridiculous. Like, it's like, my house is not a historic house. This stupid block wasn't a historic block until the powers that be said, let's do this. I feel completely, like I've said a million times now, disenfranchised by this whole process because this is my house. This is my mortgage. No one's picking up my mortgage. No one's giving me tax incentives. No one's giving me anything, but they're telling me this is what you have to do. And it's extremely, as a person that not a lot of income, like, I'm trying to keep up my property. And then everyone on my block, you're going to be having a parade of people because everyone, like East Beverly, we're not Longwood Drive. We're not Longwood Drive. And even the people there, a friend of mine was trying to replace a window and they were telling them they're going to spend 50 grand to replace some. This is not like, this isn't tenable, and this isn't tenable for me. So, I'm just, I had a feeling, yeah.
Joyce, can we just confirm, and I believe that this particular home is contributing to the landmark district.
It is,
It's
yes.
not a non-contributing building.
It's contributing.
I'm trying to,
Okay.
how do we get to not be in a historic district? Is that feasible? Because a lot of my neighbors don't want it, which I mean, we went through the process 40 years ago, I guess, to become a historic district, but then, and had to go through City Hall and jump through all the hoops, like you said, for like a year. But I mean, can that be reversed? And ever. So that's just never can be reversed. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, a little,
I
But-
guess for us, we can't vote on how the districts put together. We're just voting on, this and the concern about the precedent it would be setting by.
Yeah, I got
doing
it.
this.
And I
We
appreciate your
understand
time.
very much where you're coming from. But also we have to be very careful in what we approve because other folks will come to us and want the same
I
thing.
get it, but it's just sad because like my neighbor across the street, the cop, he's moving. He's gonna move. He's gonna sell that house, and you know it. She's met him.
Him as well.
He's gonna move, and he's selling his house without. He's not fixing it up. He's just gonna leave it as is. And all of our property, I'm so frustrated. This is so frustrating for people like me who we don't make a lot of money. We live, I've lived in this neighborhood for 40 years. I'm getting nothing back for being a good neighbor for 40 years. Fixing up my house. I want to put up a garage. At the end of the day, I'm sure $6,000 because I'm already paying $3,000 more than I wanted to because of the concrete. But an extra $3,000, I'm like, it's not in the budget. It's just not in the budget. And then also it's just, I feel frustrated. I kind of feel like, well, then forget it. This would add to my home. It would add to my resale. It would add to a lot of things. But now I just feel, and I know a lot of my neighbors do, just say, screw it because no one's going to listen to us. And that's how we feel.
To add on the chairman's suggestion, let's take a look. I don't know if your contractor can do this, but let's verify where your neighbor's garage is. I don't know, how much forward the garage is, but if it is forward, we can move it back that way that it's in line, and then the side elevation would be minimally visible, and then we could, do with an alternative material for that side elevation and just have the fiber cement on that
Well,
front.
then we'd have to knock down our shed. And like I said, putting it behind the house, which one of my neighbors did, and they almost get into car accidents every single day. The driveway's like this wide and they go, and then they had to take a sharp left. And I'm like, why did they do that? That looks terrible. It looks terrible. But they did it.
I think we could, allow for some more visual study of that elevation, since that's the concern, and maybe that could be done at staff level with a commissioner who would like to maybe be a part of reviewing that to see to make a determination how visible it is and if it needs to be cement board or not. So, is any commissioner interested in that?
Crickets.
I'll do it. I will do it.
So just to reiterate, so we can get to the final decision.
Thank you.
The decision is to, the options are still available, moving the house to the back, and you can do vinyl on all sides. If you're putting it in the location that you propose, the north elevation needs to be either wood or hardy. The west elevation will be reviewed further for visibility, and pending that visibility and consultation with Commissioner Dikievich, the final decision will be made on based on the visibility as to what siding material would be approved.
That sounds correct. So
One more question. So if you're talking about moving it back, is that what we're saying? If we could,
it's one of your options.
so if that was an option, then of course there's more concrete.
Right.
So then
that's something you
it's
have to
going to just,
consider.
yeah.
So Deanna laid it out very well. Does anyone want to make a motion to that effect?
So moved.
So
Seconded.
moved by Commissioner Ponce. Do we have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Rubin. Commissioner Blakely?
Yes.
Yes, and I'm a yes, and so we'll try to get this moving for you and, investigate a little bit further and see where we
A
land.
little bit more looking into it. Okay, thank you very much for your time. I truly appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There are no further items on our agenda today, so I'd like to request a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Seconded.
So moved, seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion, meeting adjourned. Thank you.